You're the most agreeable person in the room. You stay late when others go home. You absorb the tension in every meeting so no one else has to feel it. You say yes when everything in you wants to say no. And you are exhausted in a way that a vacation hasn't fixed and a long weekend away never will. Here's what no one is telling you: you are not burning out because the work is too hard. You are burning out because you have built your entire leadership identity around making sure no one is ever disappointed in you. And that is an impossible job. It'll just hollow you out completely. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why this happens, why the most driven, the most capable leaders are often the most at risk, and what actually can break that cycle. It's not a productivity hack. It's not better time management. It's something deeper than that. Let me name what's actually happening because I think most leaders misdiagnose this in themselves. People pleasing didn't start as a character flaw. For most high achievers, it started as intelligence. You learned early that keeping the peace and reading the room and staying ahead of other people's emotions, that worked. It kept things calm. It earned your approval. It built your career. The problem is your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a threat you faced at 12 years old and a board meeting at 42. The same survival wiring that protected you then is running your leadership now. And here's what that costs you physiologically. Your cortisol stays elevated. Your body is in a low-grade threat state almost continuously, not because anything catastrophic happened, but because you are continuously scanning every room for signs that someone might be unhappy with you. And over time, that suppressed frustration, it doesn't disappear. It accumulates. It becomes resentment. Not loud resentment, but the quiet kind that makes you dread Sunday nights and feel nothing good when something good happened at work. This is executive burnout. And it's not caused by the volume of work. It's caused by the performance of constant okayness. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you've heard me talk about resentment in leadership. We traced how control and micromanagement and information hoarding and the inability to delegate is actually a symptom of something deeper. Here's the root. The people-pleasing leader isn't controlling because they're power hungry. They're controlling because they are terrified of what happens if someone is disappointed in them. Control is just the management strategy you reach for when your identity is built on other people's approval. And what that creates without meaning to is a closed system. You filter what information gets to you. You manage how people perceive things. You absorb every tension point before it surfaces so the environment stays smooth. And you become the single point of failure for everyone's emotional experience. And so your team doesn't bring you their real problems because they've learned you need things to appear fine. Your relationships stay shallow because of that. And no one is getting to know the actual you. They're getting to know the performance you. And the closed system can't breathe. It can't grow. It can't self-correct. It just gets smaller and more exhausting until something breaks. And usually you. Here's where I want to challenge something most leadership content won't say directly. We have been sold a model of leadership that is fundamentally a performance model. The leader as the person who has the answers, who projects all the confidence, who holds the room. And for people pleasers, that model is a trap because you will kill yourself trying to perform your way into everyone's approval. But there's a different model, one built not on managing perceptions, but on genuine presence, not on projecting confidence, but on being actually known. Think about the leaders in any context, in any era, who created the most trust. They weren't the ones who had everything together. They were the ones who were exactly who they appeared to be, who said, "I don't know," and they meant it, who admitted they got something wrong and the room got closer not more anxious, who are willing to let real friction exist in their relationships because they believe the relationship was strong enough to hold it. That kind of leader doesn't just survive burnout, they don't produce it in the first place because they're not carrying everyone's emotional experience alone. They've invited other people in. It's about presence, not polish. That's the shift. Now, here's where I want to go further than most of the content you've probably seen on this topic. A lot of burnout recovery advice will tell you to set better boundaries. And yes, that matters. But if you're operating from a people-pleasing framework, a boundary is still a defensive move. You're still managing the relationship from behind a wall, just a more structured wall. What actually resolves the root problem is what the people-pleasing behavior was always searching for in the first place: genuine safety in relationship. Think about what drives the fawn response, the compulsive need to please and appease. At its core, it's a safety-seeking mechanism. The person who people pleases isn't trying to be manipulative. They're trying to feel safe. They're trying to feel connected. They want, more than almost anything, to be known and still accepted. The tragedy is that that strategy works against the goal. And when you're only ever showing people the polished, agreeable, always okay version of yourself, no one is actually getting to know you. You get approval, but not connection. And approval without connection will never be enough to feel safe. And what breaks this cycle isn't a better script for saying no. It's an open and relational environment, a culture where the leader models honesty, where disagreement is welcome rather than managed, where people don't have to perform for each other. Picture a team meeting where the leader says, I got that call wrong, and here's what I want to do differently. Watch what happens to the room. It doesn't fall apart. It gets closer. Trust deepens precisely because the mask came off. That is burnout recovery, not managing your energy better. Rebuilding the relationship architecture so you're no longer the only person holding everything together. So let me close with two questions for you. First, where are you currently saying yes when everything in you wants to say no? Not because the work is wrong, but because you're scared of what happens if you don't. And I just want you to sit with that. Second, who in your life actually knows what's hard for you right now? Not a curated version of your struggle. I'm talking about the real thing. If you can't name someone right off the top of your head, that's important for you to know. Because here's what I want you to hear. This is not a fixed pattern. This was learned inside relationships, and it can be unlearned inside the right kind of relationships. And if you found this useful, share it with another friend, another leader who needs to hear it. This kind of burnout tends to hide well. The most capable person on your team might be the most at risk. Let's do this together. I'll see you in the next video.